Evening, Stav here. I haven't done a proper video of myself and the shit I'm up to for a while, purely because I've been really fucking busy. A lot of it is getting all my crap to the new workshop, but I've pretty much done it now, so I thought I'd give you a look around and show you all the shit I'm working with. First up, my toolbox. This is obviously where all my main tools and stuff that I'm going to be using pretty much day to day is. It's just a second-hand US Pro Tools toolbox I got off somebody for like, I don't know, 200 quid, 250 quid. Perfectly decent though. I'll show you what's in it. Top is just cutting bits and bobs, Stanleys, choppers, whatever. What we got? Tape measures, feeler gauges, bits and bobs. This is just picks and a few marker pens and whatever. Bit of an odd one, but this is scales, which are used for weighing stuff. They're like hanging scales. And that's pressure manometer, which is to measure pressure drop, which is good for seeing if shit is restrictive or not. Screwdrivers, sealants, glues, etc., as in loads of various random sealants and shit I've got kicking around, from Permatex copper gasket maker, which is fucking brilliant, to other stuff, copper RTV, you know, Hylamar, the usual crap. And this glue, I think you get it from, I don't know, Tool Station or somewhere. I've seen it in a few places. It is amazing. If you want super glue, get that stuff, not the usual crap. It's cheap. Well, not that cheap, it's cheap enough, but it sticks anything. What else we got? Pliers, clamps, etc. So yeah, pliers and clamps, etc. Any spanners I got which are at least one end ratchet. They're just all sorts of brands, Halfords and Torque, whatever that is, and all sorts. Nothing fancy like Snap-on. There is a few Snap-on stuff here, but not many. Spanners, so just normal spanners. This is literally a few of every single size, plus some stubbies, which are always handy. The ring spanners and adjustable spanners. I don't use adjustables very often because they're a bit shit. I haven't got that many ring spanners, but they are handy. I'll probably end up buying some more, but it's got most main sizes there. Second set down, this is Allen keys and Torx heads and whatever, including all the little bits, so I can run them in one of them or whatever if need be, but as well as the separate ones. It's good to have both, in my opinion, because stuff like these are good for, like, you can put some proper force on it, whereas stuff like that, nowhere near as much. This is my other sockets, so like the oddball stuff, Allen head ones, star sockets, these sort of spannery end, I don't even remember what they're called, but they're useful once in a blue moon, but they're still useful sometimes. The things to change it from like 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch to you know, 3/8 and all that shit. To remove, what do you call it, lambda sensors, always handy. But yeah, just my odds and ends bits, oil filter removal thing. All the 1/2 inch drive shit, basically everything under the sun, from a dirty great breaker bar right down to that, which is always handy when stuff won't come undone. To be able to hammer it and shock things loose is a fucking lifesaver sometimes. But yeah, this is literally every size, from massive down to as small as I could find in like 1/2 inch. And yeah, well, a few of each size, to be honest. This is purely millimeters, none of the inches stuff. I've got a shitload of that at home, but I don't even understand it, so no, you won't see that here. Same again, but 3/8. Although it don't look half as much as the other one, it's probably almost the same amount. And it is every size, there's nothing missing, and there's 3 or 4 of each. But obviously it's smaller, so it don't take up much room. Same again for the quarters, right down to like 4mm, I think the smallest is. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's 4mm. There's a few snap-on ones in here. I don't know where they. I think I might have a 3.5. I don't even know where the snap-on ones come from, but I didn't buy them. But yeah, I've had them for years. Next up is, this is mostly grinding and porting stuff. So die grinder, little Dremel, loads of die grinder bits and porting bits and Dremel bits in there, look, like porting rolls and all that. And that is wire wheels, cutting discs, flapper wheels, you know, bits and pieces like that. A few other bits and pieces in there, compression testers. That's a exhaust back pressure tester, weirdly. That's a fault code reader, I think. Never used it, can't remember where it come from, but I've got it if I need it. This is my other stuff. So torque wrenches, hammers, fucking pullers, rivet gun, rivets, just the stuff that I won't use as often, but if I haven't got it, you guarantee I fucking need it. So that's that. My ever useful plastic ramps, just they're not tall, they're like a couple inches, but if you want to get a jack under a really low car, when a lot of cars, so even the Volvo, to be honest, even one of the really low jacks won't go under it, but this raises up a couple inches and then you'll get anything under it. This is just shit that I use every day. Brake cleaner, WD-40, various shit, oils, bit of brake fluid and power steering fluid and gear oil and Permatex copper spray gasket stuff. Pretty much can't get that in the UK normally. I had to fucking import it. It's usually America. I think I got this from Poland or somewhere, but either way, it's not easy to get in the UK, but it is amazing. And obviously blue roll, can't beat a bit of blue roll. I get through shitloads of that. Right then, that's all the downstairs stuff. I'll go and show you what's upstairs. Actually, before anything else, this is got a machining room. I don't actually have a clue how to work this shit yet, but I will be taught shortly. But yeah, we've got a lathe, which is going to be mega handy for doing stuff. There's lots of things I could do with doing that with. As long as I don't accidentally kill myself with it, then that'd be useful. And a dirty grate, what's that, milling machine? Yeah, milling machine, I think. And yeah, again, that would be very handy for shit I do. Pillar drill, some various chobby chop shit. But yeah, this would be sort of the workroom where I do a lot of the porting and bits and pieces. It needs tidying up at the moment, as you can tell. But yeah, it's all there. Right, upstairs, this is my sort of storage bit, and this isn't like finished. This is basically boxes while I sort out the shelving, but this is the kind of crap which I need, but obviously not need every day. So it's up here, so I can come and get it as and when I need it. So I'll have give a quick guide. The usual boxes of random nuts and bolts, because you never know when you need them, so I never chuck them. That is those two turbo looking HVAC units from Tornado aeroplanes, jet fighters. I've shown you them on a previous video, so look back to see them. And that is the same, that is the charge cooler from that same video. That is some intercooler ducts again from a Tornado jet aircraft. And these are more parts. That is an exhaust outlet from something or other on a Tornado, with various other valves. Again, you saw these on those previous videos, I hope. If not, go and look at them, because they're cool as fuck. But they're all going to get used for something on cars, so they're still here for that reason. This box is various steel, mixture of stainless and not, bends and just useful exhaust pipe parts. Some I've used before, some I haven't, but they're all like reusable. So yeah, I keep that. They look like shit at the moment, but yeah, they're all good. That is much the same. Everything from little silencers to flexes to cone bits to some bits that are still brand new in the bag. Fucking all sorts. But yeah, I like to not throw anything away, because it saves me a fortune when I'm building more and more stuff all the time. Big box of silicone hoses, like really big box. And there is another box of that there. There is literally, and another one there. There's 3 boxes of hoses, mostly silicone, some rubber, anything from vac hoses to coolant hoses to big boost hoses. Some as big as like 6-inch diameter. They're massive. What else we got? Don't look like much from here, but that bottom one there is a little supercharger. Obviously that's the oil cooler from Tornado again, which I shown you in a previous video. Various wires and stuff. That there is a load of ignition leads. I know it sounds weird keeping ignition leads, but it's amazing how often I think, oh fuck, I need a lead for something, to try something, usually to test a fault. So I keep all ignition leads. They don't take up no room, so why not? That is a carrier bag full of shitloads of cable ties of all shapes and sizes. That's odds and ends of useful stuff: jump leads, spotlights, extension cable, welding mask, smoke boost leak tester, wheel arch roller, always useful, bit more pipe, a spare turbo for the Volvo. Yeah, that's a spare turbo for the Volvo. I've got probably 50 to 100 turbos, probably more than 100 actually, but they're not here because they're not ones I'm immediately going to use. Anything I know I'm not going to use anytime soon, I've kept at home. But stuff, I mean, this is a spare one for the Volvo, so it'll probably get used shortly. So I've took this, but the rest of them aren't here. This is all different wastegate actuators. Again, you know, I just keep them because they always come in handy one day. Everything from a Kinagawa aftermarket jobby to various, that's nearly all whole set ones to be honest. This gigantic, biggest actuator in the world is part of the sequential twin turbo setup off 2JZ, like the standard 2J sequential setup. That's the actuator from something. I can't remember what it does, but that is the actuator. But I can't even remember why I've got that. I had the whole sequential setup, but I kept that because it could be handy for something. I mean, when it don't take up much room, it's a fuck's sake cheaper than buying it again. This is all V-band clamps of various shapes and sizes. Most of them are unused, the odd one I've used before, but it's good to go again, so, you know, happy days. the ever useful Jubilee clips. Quite a few things in there. Those Michelob bloody things, I don't really like them. That's why they're in there, because I've never used them. But you know, I replaced them. They were supplied with kits, and I replaced them with Jubilees. But I've got everything in there in case I need it for something. Shitload of exhaust heat wrap, including one bit round a bit of 3-inch pipe, weirdly. But yeah, exhaust wrap, always use it. And for some reason I've got loads of it I've never used yet. Various braided hoses, some used, some never used. Some of them's actually off the Sexy Notes RX-7, but that's how long I keep stuff for, because you know, I took them off over a decade ago, I think. But yeah, that might even be where that oil cooler's from, I can't even remember. But yeah, always handy. That is various turbo oil returns, mostly off trucks and stuff, for like big hole sets and Borg Warners and stuff, because people always struggle finding big oil returns, and restrictive ones is why after people cry about, oh, my exhaust is smoking, my turbo's smoking. It's because their return's too small. So if I get a chance to nab one that used to be off a lorry, big fucker, I do. I keep them, and that's what that is. This is just all alloy boost pipe of various shapes and sizes, some used, some not. Yeah, all kinds of diameters and bores and bends and fucking everything, but it's basically aluminium. This is like the interesting bits and bobs. Start at the top. That is just a fucking random panel filter that I seem to have had for the last 15 years. I don't even know what it's from. I think I was given it when we was at Redline, but not used it for anything. A couple of Bosch idle speed control valves, which I've never used. That is a Audi vacuum thing, like what electric vacuum booster pump, whatever, vacuum pump really. They use it to control all the, you know, to create the vacuum to do the door locks and stuff, and a lot of Audis and this, that, the other. But it's useful for all sorts, so I've got that for reasons that I can't remember anymore. That is things, I know what it is, but it's not interesting enough to explain. That's an external thermostat off a Rover case series or something. It's basically, obviously you get your thermostat on your car usually as part of the water pump. This is like an external one, which is useful for all kinds of shit really. Never used it myself, but I've got it and it's handy. I think that's a idle speed control valve bracket, turbo filter guard thing, load of fuel pump brackets. This is electrical shit, spare sensors, electrical fittings, fuel injectors, just anything electrical. This is actually inlet temp sensor bits and bobs, which I've like for a gauge, but I've not done anything with it yet. This is basically hangers and straps and stuff, so exhaust rubbers, bumper tie thingies like you see on drift cars and lifestyle cars and shit, where you hold your bumpers on with that, spring hooks, bonnet pins, harness bolts, all kinds of shit is that one. What else we got in this box of tricks? That is nearly all turbo oil feed fittings and various metal fittings, which again, always handy, because when you need the fitting you've usually never got it, so I just keep everything just in case. Lots more turbo oil returns and other similar fittings. This is various blow off valves and one way valves and anti-lag valves and nitrous solenoids, all kinds of shit. Various exhaust flanges in this one, most of them unused, but again, you don't need them for years, and then when you need them you ain't got them, so I keep them if I've got any hanging around. For some reason I've got millions of spare wastegate and dump valve springs, so that's what that is, as well as a couple of partially dismantled wastegates. But I've got shit wastegate springs, I can't even remember why. This one is various plastic connectors, you know, mostly pipe connectors and so on, as well as some Bosch blow-off valve, the standard recirc valves on things, a few gauges, bits and bobs. This is similar to the last box, but this is metal fittings rather than plastic fittings. That is a shitload of spark plugs, as you can tell. Nearly all of them used, but only lightly. These are basically good spark plugs. So, and it's anything from like standard 6s right up to cold as fuck NGK 10 racing plugs, which I used to use on like my RX-7 and whatnot. This is, and this is a weird one for you, it could make a video on its own right, millions and millions of turbo gaskets, everything from T2 to T6, as well as loads of oddball ones that you've probably never seen before, and there's just hundreds of the bloody things, including some turbo drain and feed gaskets as well. Similar to that, this is various turbo flanges I've got kicking around, T4 undivided, T4 divided, T3 undivided, 3S GTE, T4 divided, all sorts. And yeah, that is about it. I've got the stuff that isn't here, I might add to this video, I might not, but I'll tell you if I haven't, it's about, I don't know, 100 odd turbos, which I just hoard the bloody things. They're not here, and the other things that aren't here is all my spare big things. Like I've got the spare engine to go in the Corolla forged 3S GTE, got a spare engine for the Merc, which is this crazy VAF tuning forged 4.7 V8, I think it is, 330 odd horsepower I think it is, and spare engine for the Volvo, spare axle for the Volvo, spare wheels, all that kind of stuff. I keep them elsewhere, mostly at home, because obviously I don't need them here. This is sort of my stuff, my day-to-day stuff, and anything I'm going to plan, the big stuff, obviously I bring here to use, rather than just clutter up everything here. And also, because storage is upstairs, and my bollocks trying to get big engines up here. Right, showing the things in the workshop earlier in this video, but here's a few more things I've got which isn't at the workshop. Firstly, engines. This, while it looks pretty crappy and dusty, as you can see, is actually a fully forged cams, everything 3S GTE that, until the car was crashed, was making touch over 600 brake on a Garrett GT35 turbo. Can't see it because it's under the blankets, this shit, but it's connected to an MR2 turbo gearbox with a CAS plated diff as well. Both of these are pretty fucking low miles. They've probably only done a few thousand miles each since being fully built. And yeah, this is what's going to be replacing the slightly broken engine in the Corolla as soon as I get a chance. This plus a big old turbo will make some serious steam. It made 600, well, over 600 on pump fuel on the old engine, on the old turbo setup it used to have, and I'm going to put something a bit bigger on it. So yeah, that's going to be a weapon. So be seeing a lot more of the Corolla fairly soon. This is a weird one. This is a Mercedes V8. But it's not any old Mercedes V8, although it looks pretty much like a stock, you know, 4.3 V8 for one of them. It's actually a fully forged VAF V47. I think they're called VAF, V-A-T-H, German tuner of Mercedes. This engine was built by them. I've got the receipts and all the spec. I think it cost about 10 grand to get built. Built back in early 2000s from a unused, brand new 4.3 Mercedes V8. It's got a forged crank, forged pistons, forged rods, uprated cams, flowed heads, basically everything. Fully forged engine, some kind of long stroke crank made in the UK supposedly, so gonna be who makes them? Arrow maybe? I don't know, but yeah, serious engine, although it looks like nothing special. I don't know how many miles it's done. It's done, going by the history, it's done a fair few miles since it was built, but either way, I think they were rated at 340 horsepower, which is about 50 more than the standard 430 V8. I need to check the compression just to make sure it's not ridiculously high for boost, but yeah, once the 430 engine dies in the CLK, then this will be what replaces it, and it should be a direct swap. I might while it's out the car, chuck some good head gaskets or something on it. I don't even know, but either way, it looks like shit, but this is actually something very special, and I've got a whole big book of receipts and everything with it. It's a proper bit of kit. And last and probably least, here's my spare Volvo B200 engine. I'm going to pick another one of these up shortly, because these B200s are completely unloved and worthless because everyone goes for the B230, but they're basically the same engine, but this being a smaller bore should have thicker walls and be stronger and less likely to blow the head gasket, because the walls are thicker between it all. So I kind of like these, because apart from that, the heads are the same, the cams are the same, the internals are the same. You know, they should be as strong, because you're losing 300cc capacity, but I reckon it's maybe stronger, but I don't know, nobody ever seems to push these. But I like these. There's one in the car already in the Volvo. There's this one, which is out of a fairly low mile automatic one I got from the Scrappy. I'm going to pick up another one from an automatic fairly soon, and I'm going to probably build one, you know, some proper rods and everything, and maybe keep the other as a one not to build, just to a quick replacement for the one that's in the car at the moment in case it breaks. B200s, nobody likes them, but I do. That's a spare Volvo rear axle which I got from the scrapyard at the same time. But yeah, lots of pretty crappy looking engines, but they will be, well, two are something very special. One isn't anything special, but it could be. So yeah, this is more of my storage space.